So my question for you today is this. Are you letting your perception of job security stand in the way of your dream life? Stand in the way of you having a huge impact on the world and the people around you? Listen, we all have bills. We all have responsibilities. I understand that. But if you're letting this dead-end job drive you over the next 20 years because you think that's security, that's not security and that's not the life. That's not living the dream. We're going to blow that up today, and we're going to change maybe some of your perceptions of what real security looks like. Welcome to the next 24 hours, where I'm going to give you real information you can really use to transform your life and work one day at a time. I'll be your host, Curtis Zimmerman. It's so funny because I just had this conversation with my oldest son, Noah, who's a senior in high school, and we were talking about job security and what that really means. And I've been an entrepreneur and ran my own company along with my wife for years, and I've always felt like I have more job security than the person that works an hourly job or works for a big company. So I wanted to explain that just a little bit, do a little bit deeper dive on that information. So number one, I want you to think about yourself and think about what do you feel secure in. So every 24 hours, remember we're talking about the last 24 hours and also the next 24 hours of your life. But every 24 hours or so, we kind of do a reset because we go to sleep. And then we wake up, and then our reality starts again. We can pick it right up from where it was, or we can write something brand new. And one of the things I want you to do tomorrow is I want you to rewrite this concept of what real security looks like. Boy, I love it when my voice whistles like that. Isn't that cool? Real security looks like. At any rate, so what real security looks like, and so let's talk about, I have a job, and I've worked there for 13 years, and I've showed up on time. I've done what was asked of me. I really stepped up and worked extra during the holidays or during some big push we had in the company. And really, I helped build this company into what it was. When I started, there were only 27 employees, and now there's 350, and all this is great. And now all of a sudden, management has made a move, and they put somebody new in charge, and this person is from another company, and they don't know all the time, all the energy, all the relationships, everything I've helped build this company through all of my hard work. They don't know any of that. So they come in and they assess today and the last 24 hours since they've started. And all of a sudden they say, you know what, I don't see where we need you anymore, and I don't see how you're contributing in the way that I want you to, and they fire you. Now that may seem harsh, and that may seem like, well, Curtis, that's really not going to happen. It happens every single day. Every day. I go in when companies are making transitions and doing things just like that, and I need for you to know that you thought you had job security. If one person can fire you, I don't call that job security. I call that insecurity, because what I'm going to do is do everything I have to make sure that one person doesn't fire me. And what's so hard today in the workplace is you can say one wrong thing, you can send out one wrong tweet, you can send out one wrong email, you can look at somebody the wrong way, and for any of those reasons, you can be let go that very day. And believe me, it's happening to someone today. Now, I want to flip that, and I want to just go, let's just pretend that I was an entrepreneur and I had a product or a service that I offered to 100 clients. And these 100 clients, some of them bought a lot of stuff from me. Some of them bought just a few, but who knows, maybe they'll buy more in the future. And one day what happens is these 100 clients that basically, you need to just cut through this right now with me. Listen carefully. Let's just pretend you want to make $100,000 a year. And so you have a really good job, you've worked really hard, you make $100,000 a year. Now, I have these 100 streams of income. I make exactly the same amount. So I'm not saying you're making more. I'm saying you're making the same amount, $100,000. Now, one of my 100 clients has a misunderstanding, decides to use somebody else, and they fire me. Well, guess what? I still have 99 streams of income. So even though that one person, that one client fired me, I still have 99% of what I had to start with. On the other hand, you who think you have security in your job because you did a good job and you showed up and you did all the right things, you get fired. and immediately you have 0 streams of income. If you think of that from just standing at 10,000 feet and take away your emotions and take away your belief systems and take the way that your dad or your mom worked when you were a kid, and you just look at that for what it is, you can see who truly has more job security. And I need for you to really think about right now, what else in your life do you feel totally secure in that really is just your perception? And if you let some of that stuff go, how might you change some behaviors moving forward? Now, I'm not telling you that if you want to be an astronaut, go be an entrepreneur and start building a rocket ship. That's not going to work out so well for you. So there are certain jobs, obviously, you're going to have to work at a large organization. You're going to have to work with other people. You're going to have to collaborate in order to make your dream job happen. But if your dream job can be done by you as an entrepreneur, by running your own business, I just want you to look at that for what it is. Don't let the fear of, oh my gosh, I need job security, don't let that hold you back from it. On the other hand, I'm not going to say that it's for everyone, because it isn't. If you think you're going to quit your job and then go out and work half as hard and spend time at the beach and go to your son's game and go to your daughter's play and do all of these things and work half as much and then make as much money as you do now, you're wrong, because that's also not going to happen. Really, what you're going to do is you're going to work twice as hard to make the same amount, but you're going to be doing your passion. So even though you're working twice as hard, it's going to feel so much better because you're in charge of your own destiny. One more wrinkle on this I want to let you know is if you show up early, you work really, really hard, and you go the extra mile, guess what? Next year, in that regular job with security, you might get a 5% increase in your pay if you do everything right. Now, on the other hand, the question I have is, if I work really, really hard and I do the extra things, is there a chance that those 100 clients of mine in a year or 2 even could turn into 200 clients? Well, of course, the answer is yes. So I could literally double my income. I'm not saying you're going to, I'm just saying, is that in the realm of possibilities? Absolutely it is. That is not in the realm of possibilities with the job you currently have. No one's going to walk in and go, you know what? That last report you did, oh my gosh, that was amazing. We're doubling your income. That's not going to happen, okay? So there is an upside to all of that work and all of that time building something on your own. So I had to make sure to throw that out. So I'm really excited about the feedback on this. And I also want to just let you know that if you decide to transition, I have some tips and tricks for you. So let's see. Okay, Curtis, I get it. I do have a dream job. I do have something I really want to do. So I'm going to turn off this podcast and I'm going to walk into my boss's office and I'm going to quit. You're an idiot if you do that. Don't do that. Trust me, that is a bad move, okay? Instead, I want you to start thinking about transitions and thinking about time. Remember, this podcast is about time, 24 hours. It could be 24 months. It could be 12 months. It could be whatever you want. But I want you to take control of the time, not let time control you. So one thing that's interesting for me is, it's very important when I think about this podcast that this isn't all theory, okay? I'm using real life examples of people I'm working with currently. And so when I'm talking about these concepts, I want you to know this is real world information. So I'll give you an example. Right now I'm working with somebody that is top brass in the United States Air Force. So I've been honored to be able to speak to, over 20,000 airmen all over the United States. Well, some of those people that brought me in, well, now they're getting to the age where they're going to retire. So this one particular individual I'm working with, I'm doing some VIP days with, and we're going to plot out the 1-year strategy because this person's retiring in 1 year. And I don't want this person to retire, hang up the uniform, and then go, okay, now what do I want to do with the rest of my life? Because when you put out like this person has so much energy, so much focus, you don't just, okay, I'm retired, now I'm going to go sit at the beach for 13 years, for 29 years I'm going to go. That doesn't happen. I've seen it happen over and over. They retire, they take a month off, and they're going crazy because they need to be doing something productive. They need to be giving back. They're used to producing. So I want to help that path happen in a smooth and easy way through the VIP situation that we're going to do together. So I want you to think about that transition with your job and all of that. Think about it in that way as well. You don't wait to quit and then start thinking about what you're going to do next. Instead, I want you to keep the job you have. I want you to work really, really hard. It doesn't mean I'm going to work less and focus on something else and on their dime sit on the computer and research my next job. That's called stealing. Don't do that either. So I want you to work the job you have, but then I want you to do a part-time job, a side hustle, if you will, on the job you're going to be doing next. And I want you to spend time on that. Like you're taking a class, in college, and you have to do this after work. That's the way I want you to handle it. And that's exactly what I did when I was a mime. I wanted to be a speaker, and I felt really passionate about performing, and I love people as a performer. But I thought, how can I take that deeper so I can really help people help themselves? So what I did was I looked at how much I was consistently making as a performer over the last 3 years, and then I said, in a year from now, I hope to have enough speaking jobs booked that on that day, when I have as much speaking jobs as I do mime jobs, that'll be my very last mime job, and I will transition into being a full-time speaker. But what I did in the meantime is all the jobs that I drove to as a performer, I was listening to books on tape. I mean, I literally got a master's degree in self-help and quitting smoking and all of these different things by listening to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of books on tape. And that's what really gave me the wherewithal and the strength and really what it took for me to transfer from a mime to a speaker, because I had all of this knowledge that I had built over that year. So that's what I want you to think about. If you truly decide you want to make a transition, even if it's to another company, even if it's to the dream job or the dream relationship, what are you willing to do now to start building that bridge? Then when you're ready to, you can let go what you're doing and you can move smoothly into the future you've been looking for. So that's a different way of reaching your goal. Don't end your life with, I'm quitting my job, to start your new life the next day trying to figure out how to get there. Do them both at the same time. Make that transition a little easier. So I have perception as a person, you have perception as a person, and I definitely had perception as a performer of what I could and could not do. Now, many times that ceiling, the glass ceiling was broken because I thought I could never eat fire, I could never do magic, but over the years I found out, well, actually I could if I did the work, actually if I could, if I just took the time. And so I have one situation like this. So I was a juggler, and I had a routine that I did to the song Dueling Banjos. And it was a 3-ball routine, and I did it on cruise ships, and I got huge results from it, and everybody loved it. And that was my little juggling routine that I did thousands and thousands of times. And I thought I was Joe Juggler, I was the juggling guy. And sure enough, there are actually these associations, like juggling associations and things like this. So there's one that was happening, and the person that was in charge of it, I knew. And they said, hey, Curtis, you should come to this juggling, event where all the jugglers are going to be, and they're going to trade ideas and blah, blah, blah. So sure enough, I was like, okay, that day's open. I'm going to go. And I went. And when I got there, it was amazing. People are throwing bowling balls, and people are throwing all this crazy, people on stilts and unicycling, and just a bunch of regular people that do juggling kind of as a hobby. And I'm just taking it all in, just standing there. And this little boy, I mean, he's probably like 12, 13 years old, walks up right in front of me, not looking at me, but it's just standing next to me. And he has this velvet bag. And he takes this velvet bag and he opens it up and he pours out 5 juggling balls. 5 juggling balls. And I'm like standing there, what's he going to do with those? Come on. And sure enough, he stands right there like it's nothing, and he just goes, poof, and he throws up, and he does about 30 to 40 tosses with 5 juggling balls, catches them, and puts them back in the little bag and walks off like nothing happened. I mean, my head was exploding. Remember now, I'd been juggling for over 25 years, and I could only do 3 balls and 4 balls, kind of. I always knew 5 balls was there's no way I could do it. And now I see this young man who's like 13, 14. He hasn't been alive as long as I've been juggling. So there was 2 choices that day. I was either going to go home and learn how to juggle 5 balls, or I was going to kill him. One or the other was going to happen that day. Needless to say, nobody died that day, but I did go home with a new motivation. I did what is called burning. I totally burned the boats. There was nothing in my life more important than me going home and learning how to juggle 5 balls. I knew I could. If he can do it, I can do it, that whole thing. So it was a day and a half later at 2:30 in the morning. I screamed as loud as I could. I ran into the bedroom and I woke my wife up and I said, I did it. I juggled 5 balls. And she said, that's great. Leave me alone. But I just marked that off, and now I can consistently juggle 5 balls. But I had this idea in my head that was not reachable, that was not obtainable. Then I focused on it, literally talk about doing something for 24 hours. I focused on it solidly for 24 hours, and I reached my goal. And I want you to think about that with you. What's something that you're good at, you've been doing, but man, if you really believed you could go to the next level and you gave it 24 hours and you didn't stop and you burned the bridges and you stopped your life, what could you do next? What would it look like? That's my take on, really where you are now and how you're going to get where you want to go. That also gives you a year to leave the job you have as a rock star. When you leave the job you have 1 year to over-deliver, 1 year to just bring donuts every Monday, whatever it is, because when you leave that job, I want them to miss you, I want them to love you, and I want them to say, wow, this woman, instant rehire. Because if you look at the best and the worst case scenario, the best case scenario, the year works out, you quit your job, you go, and you get to live the rest of your life, living the dream, doing what you really want. Worst case scenario, you build it out, you quit your job, and it crashes and burns. Wow, Curtis, what do you mean it crashes and burns? So my question then has to go to, what does it cost for you to live for a year? Realistically, you can sit down and you can figure out exactly what it costs for you to live for a year. I want you to think about that, and then I want you to think about, well, if I took that amount of money out of my bank account, if I saved and worked a side job and I had that amount of money, and then for 1 year, I lived to try to make my dream come true and it didn't work out, could you at that point go back and get hired somewhere in the world for the job you currently have that you're doing today for exactly the same amount of money that you make today? I'm going to say that one more time. Can you quit your job for 1 year and then find somebody else in the world that's willing to pay you what you currently make doing the exact same job you have? If the answer is yes, then you risk nothing. If the answer is no, don't quit your job because you're being overpaid. Think about that. You should be able to say yes automatically to that. And if that's true, then I want you to just lean into the concept of, wow, what am I willing to risk to make my dreams come true? So in the next 24 hours, I really want you to think about what are some of those things you might want to do to live the dream, to have the dream job in the future. I don't know, it might be an online course. It might be a certification that you need. And I got to be honest with you, if you don't know, you may want to just have a VIP day with me. This is where we're going to sit down and strategize some of those options moving forward together. So whatever it is, you have 24 hours to do something actionable toward your future. Hey, thank you for listening to the next 24 hours. It would mean a lot to me if you found this content today valuable, that you share it with your friends. Leave me a review. I'd love to hear from you. And if you want to learn more about what I do, it's really simple. Just go to curtiszimmerman.com. Remember, in order to live the dream, you have to make the next 24 hours count. The clock is ticking.